Hey everybody, it's GauntletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we'll be playing another premiere draft of Innistrad Midnight Hunt. Without further ado, let's slam dunk our Pack 1 Pick 1 Meat Hook Massacre banned in Standard. It's a very powerful board wipe. It's going to drain your opponent for a bunch of life when you cast it as well, because whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses a life. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, you gain a life, so you get to steal a bunch of life from them. Wipe the whole board. Sometimes you can even set it up to where you're only wiping out a bunch of your opponent's stuff if you have some chunkier creatures and they have a bunch of small things. So absolutely absurd Magic card, easily the Pack 1 Pick 1. If it weren't in the pack though, this pack is still quite strong. Lunarch Veteran is the best common in the pack, being a great card to sacrifice and a bunch of nice little life gain going on with it. As for the uncommons, Ambitious Farmhand and Scab Wrangler are both very nice, so super strong pack, but we gotta go with that Meat Hook Massacre. Can't really pass up the incredibly powerful Mythic Rare. This pack is significantly weaker. I'm not a very big fan of any of these cards, really. Clarion Cathars might be my favorite. I mean, I like Sacred Fire a decent amount, but obviously it's going to be pretty hard to play that in a deck that also has Meat Hook Massacre. The mana fixing in this format exists. There's some cards like Evolving Wilds and Dawnheart Rejuvenator, but this is very much a two-color format where splashing is kind of minimal, in my opinion. So I don't think I'm trying to be like black, red, white, Sacred Fire the deck, so I guess Clarion Cathars for black-white could be fine. Chimney Rabble without the haste, 4 mana for a 3/3 and a 1/1, 2 bodies off 1 card, always good. Ron Reunion's just okay. I don't really want to take it to follow up Meat Hook Massacre, even though it's on color, it's just not very strong. It's pretty filler. That's really it. This pack just kind of jank overall. A lot of just unplayable cards like 3-Bin Exorcism, Electric Revelation, Blinking Observer. Maybe not completely unplayable, but pretty bad overall. Pack 1 Pick 3, we've got some much better stuff now. We have Arrogant Outlaw to stick to black, which is fine. Pretty good if you can trigger the damage ability, but you can't always do that. And a 3-mana 3/2 without that enter the battlefield effect is pretty bad. Thermo Alchemist is great if you have a bunch of instants and sorceries. You can ping your opponent for a bunch of extra damage. Delver of Secrets can be really strong if you have a really high instant sorcery count. And then Flip the Switch and Revenge of the Drowned are both a very good interaction in blue. The Great Cheap Counterspell that leaves you with a zombie, or the Great Cheap Bounce Spell that leaves you with a zombie. This one not so cheap, but still pretty good. I think I'm going to take one of the blue cards here. Because I really don't like red very much as a color, and I don't think Outlaw's that strong. So, yeah, I could see Revenge of the Drowned or Delver. I'll go Revenge of the Drowned here. Pick up some interaction, some bounce stuff. Now we have a Bat Whisperer, which is solid in black. If you can damage your opponent, you get a 4/2 and a 1/1 flyer for 4 mana, which is great. We've got a Bait Hook Angler in blue as well, which is very good. 2 mana for a 2/1. That's a decently sized creature. The 1 toughness is pretty bad on defense, or on the offense, but blocking with this thing, you can usually trade it into a 2/2 or something, and then you just get that extra value of recasting it from grave, which is really good. Crawl from the Cellar is a pretty good graveyard recursion spell too. There's a good amount of zombies in the format, so you can get some +1/+1 counters while getting 2 pieces of graveyard recursion off 1 card, which is nice. So I like Crawl from the Cellar, Bait Hook Angler. I even like Larder Zombie. If you have a lot of decayed zombies, good way to use them. Super sweet pack, but I really like Bait Hook Angler, and I think I'm going to roll with that. All right, Pack 1 Pick 5. Now we can go ahead and take a Larder Zombie for blue-black Decayed. Blue-black Zombies. It's really just that and Arrogant Outlaw competing. Stinger's fine if you're super aggressive, but Hedge Witch's Mask, Sun Gold Barrage, Component Collector, Howl of the Hunt, Stuffed Bear, and Electric Revelation are all cards I consider to be just pretty bad. Kind of last pick additions to your deck. Pack 1 Pick 6 is a great sign for blue. Revenge of the Drowned and Falcon Abomination are both still in this pack. Both are great cards. Falcon Abomination is an incredibly high pick for me. 3 mana for a 2/2 flyer and a 2/2 decayed zombie is a really good deal for the blue-black zombies archetype. Nice evasive threat plus a nice little sacrifice fodder thing. Alright, Pack 1 Pick 7. These red cards and these green cards are quite bad. Even if I end up in blue-green or blue-red, I don't think I'll be playing any of them. Maybe a Stolen Vitality in blue-red. I think I'd rather just take a Silverbolt. It's the most flexible card in the pack. It's a mediocre removal spell, but it's a mediocre removal spell that ends up in any deck where you don't get enough removal regardless of color. So it's the most likely to get played. Pack 1, pick 8, Siege Zombie is great. Could also go for the Festival Crasher heading into that red-blue direction just because we haven't been getting past a bunch of excellent black cards. We've been getting past fine ones though, and a pick 8 Siege Zombie is pretty incredible. This is a great way to tap out your board state during your opponent's end step. Keep chipping away for damage. Alright, pack's pretty bad now. We do have a start in white with Clarion Cathars, so I'll just take another white card with Cathar Commando. Fine if you're very aggressive. Take the Rotten Reunion here. It's pretty filler, but it is fine in the blue-black Decayed deck. This is all unplayable poopy. I'll take a Might of the Old Ways. Get a second Larder Zombie. I'm not super high on multiples, but I don't think I'll be heading into green. And I guess worst case scenario, it's kind of hard to draw 2 Larder Zombies because the first one kind of surveils the second one into your graveyard. So I guess it's not as bad in multiples as I've said in the past, but it's a card where I really like my first copy, and after that I'm not that interested because having 2 of them on the board is super redundant, so not the greatest. Alright, we opened up a Dennek, which is a blue-white rare. It's a pretty decent one. Good value. Solid front half, solid back half. But I think I'm just going to go with Falcon Abomination for another just incredible flyer that spits out the Decayed Zombie. Card is sweet. Corpse Cobble, not a card I super like. There's a bunch of very, very good targeted removal in this format, so taking a bunch of little creatures and squishing them all into one big one just makes it a lot easier for your opponent to deal with your board state. The idea is to consolidate all of your Decayed Zombies into one super duper big threat, but it doesn't play out incredibly well from my experience. I'll just take a Falcon Abomination, and I will very happily take a Morbid Opportunist. The only thing I don't like about taking a Morbid Opportunist here is that I'm passing up onto Fenestrate, which is pretty good removal, but Morbid Opportunist, basically a mythic rare uncommon in my opinion. Whenever one or more other creatures die, you draw a card. That only triggers once each turn, but it is not hard to get some creatures dying, especially when you have Decayed Zombie production, because those zombies die no matter what. If you attack with that zombie and it doesn't get blocked, then it sacrifices itself. If you attack with it and they block it and just kill it, if it's a chump attack, still dies, still triggers the Opportunist, and draws you a card. So changing all of your Decayed spells from saying, like 3 mana 2/2 flyer, make a 2/2 zombie or whatever, to 3 mana 2/2 flyer, draw a card, is absolutely nuts. And that's not all that Morbid Opportunist does, because when any creatures die for any other reasons, you also draw cards. It's not just a Decayed combo piece, but it is a very good Decayed combo piece. Take another Bait Hook Angler now for a solid creature to trade off and reanimate from grave. I guess we could take a Siphon Insight here. That's pretty fun. Probably go with the card that's actually just better though, which is Ecstatic Awakener. 1 mana for a 1/1, but it's basically a 3 mana 4/4. You have to sacrifice a creature, but if you do, it's a 3 mana 4/4 that draws a card when it hits the board, so really good if you have the expendable creatures to go with it. Siphon Insight is fun, but it's basically Think Twice. It's basically just like 5 mana draw 2, but you're drawing them from your opponent's library. You do get to dig, but it's not that great. It's fun and cool, but Ecstatic Awakener I think is the more consistent value. The better card up front. I'm just going to rare draft an Overgrown Farmland for gems. Ambitious Farmhand is the best card in this pack by a lot, but we're just going to be straight blue-black. I'm not going to try to do any splashing. Novice Occultist is a decent expendable creature for the Ecstatic Awakener, although it will probably get cut. I'll definitely cut a Drownyard Amalgam, so I'll take the Occultist over that. We already have 2 Bait Hook Anglers, 2 Falcon Abominations making Decayed Zombies, a Revenge of the Drowned making a Decayed Zombie, and Rotten Reunion to make Decayed Zombies, so I think we're doing pretty great on Ecstatic Awakener cards. But again, 0% chance of playing versus like a 5% chance of playing. I'll take the 5% chance on Novice Occultist. Alright, pick 7 Siege Zombie, join the party. Love you, friend. Take a Morcrut Behemoth, it's a filler endgame creature I'd rather cut than not, but that's fine. No Way Out is actually pretty fine. Normally I don't love my 3 mana discard 2 spells, but stapling a decayed zombie onto it is actually a pretty meaningful buff, especially for this archetype. So we'll start with that in the main deck for now. There are several other cards I think I'd cut before I end up cutting No Way Out. We are at 17 out of 23 non-land playables. Let's check out how our curve is looking while we're waiting. Looking real good on the early game stuff, which is the most important part of the curve. So we have some breathing room to take some finishers here, which is nice. But we can kind of just take whatever we want on curve. We want to get something better than Behemoth to close out the game. But I guess we can just close out the game with Siege Zombie abilities, which is fine. We don't even need big late game spells, so yeah, we're doing great on curve. There's nothing we really need. We can just keep taking the best card in each pack, regardless of mana value. I'm not going to play Heirloom Mirror. I find that this card is much too slow. It takes 3 turns to flip it, and then it's still going to be tapped the turn that it flips, so it's kind of like 4 turns before it does its thing. And until then, you're losing life, sinking a bunch of extra mana into it. It's just not very good. I guess I'll start with it in the main deck, but it'll be my first cut once we draft our 24th card. Alright, pack 3, pick 1. We've got another Bait Hook Angler, and I think I'll just take that. Excellent with the Ecstatic Awakener. Consider's a fine card. Crawl from the Cellars, great Graveyard Recursion. Shipwreck Sifters are good with a high spirit count. This is an incredible blue-white common. Not so good in blue-black. Even with 2 Bait Hook Anglers, that's still pretty low. I'm just going to take a 3rd Bait Hook Angler. Alright, now we have Crawl from the Cellar number 2 or Hobbling Zombie. We can probably wheel one of the 2 Crawl from the Cellars. I doubt somebody's going to want to draft both of them, so let's just take a Hobbling Zombie here. 3-drop Death Toucher that replaces itself with a Decayed Zombie. Biggest weakness of our deck is our removal spells are not great. We've got a Silverbolt, a Revenge of the Drowned. That's about it, but we didn't open up any great removal in this pack either, which is a big bummer. We passed up on one good removal spell. We passed up on a Defenestrate, but outside of that, we just didn't open or get past any removal, really, I think, overall. Take a Nebelgast Intruder here, solid flash 3-drop. It's like a 3-mana 2/1 flyer with a miniature combat trick attached, which is pretty nice. Yeah, we could have some issues. If our opponent plays a bomb rare, we're just going to lose. If they play like Lysa, Forgotten Archangel or something, big 4/5 flyer that makes it so whenever their creatures die, they just come right back on the board. It's like, alright, well, I'll scoop. That's game. But when there are no bombs, we can just curve out regular creatures versus our opponent curving out regular creatures. We should have a pretty excellent time with this deck. That lack of removal is going to be a pretty big bummer, though. Alright, here's a great card to top off the curve, Diregraph Horde. I guess Covert Cutpurse sort of fits as removal, but it's very situational removal. So I think I still take the Diregraph Horde, because I don't think it helps us that much. Maybe we can wheel Locked in the Cemetery. Another pretty situational, pretty weak removal spell. I'm just going to take the Diregraph Horde for the top end of the curve, spitting out multiple Decayed Zombies, exiling some cards from grave. Card is ridiculous. Another Falcon Abomination. Yeah, we can get like pack 5 or pick 5, pick 6 Falcon Abominations all day long, but we could not find an Eaten Alive for the life of us. Speaking of pick 5, pick 6 Falcon Abominations, I think I'd take Falcon Abomination higher than Archivist in this archetype, but Overwhelmed Archivist is also a phenomenally powerful card. Great to be able to disturb that back later. Yeah. I guess black was just nowhere near as open as blue, but even out of blue, we did not have many opportunities to take counterspells like Flip the Switch. We could have taken a Disdainful Stroke, or not Disdainful Stroke, the 4-mana counterspell that exiles. I forget what it's called, but that's significantly worse. 4 mana is a lot, and it doesn't impact the board in any way, unlike Flip the Switch, which is 3 mana and gives you a zombie. Devious Cover-Up, that's the one that we could have taken. Million Shipwreck Sifters too. Yeah, I guess I just shouldn't have been so high on our Meat Hook Massacre. Maybe in blue-white we would have a fun time. It had multiple... It had the 4 bait hook anglers and like 2 or 3 shipwreck sifters. And maybe there were some white removal spells. I mean, there were some white removal spells. I don't know if I remember seeing any good ones. There was like Sun Gold Barrage, which is like destroy something with 4 more toughness, which is very narrow. And then like destroy a spirit or enchantment, which is also very narrow. I don't know if there was a lot of great removal in any colors in this draft. Do feel really bad about losing out on a Defenestrate. I think that was the best removal spell I remember passing up on. Alright. Let's stop being sad about removal and start being happy about how good this deck looks even without it, which is pretty dang good. We are at 19 creatures. We can cut a couple of those for sure. I guess I'll cut one larger zombie, with the second one being a bit redundant. I'll probably cut a Morcrypt Behemoth as well. Go pretty low curve here. Actually, no, there's an Heirloom Mirror still in here. Definitely cut that, but that's not a creature. I'll cut an Occultist as well. 4 bait hook anglers and a bunch of decayed zombies is more than enough stuff to work with Ecstatic Awakener. And then for the final cut, I guess I'll leave the Behemoth in here and cut one of these 2 Rotten Reunions. We have like 4 Falcon Abomination spitting out a decayed zombie, a No Way Out, a Revenge of the Drowned, a Hobbling Zombie. I think we have plenty that we don't need a straight up just Rotten Reunion in here. So yeah, pretty low curve, aggressive blue-black deck here with 4 Falcon Abomination, 4 bait hook anglers. The creature quality is out of this world. The only problem with our deck is that our removal spells aren't great, but the Meat Hook Massacre can really help make up for that as just a full-on board wipe when things are going wrong if we draw into a Meat Hook Massacre. So yeah, it looks pretty sweet here. We'll call it a deck there. Alright, here's a look at today's deck list, which is going to be another pretty powerful blue-black deck. We have an excellent curve of creatures with Larder Zombie to surveil off of all our decayed zombies, Ecstatic Awakener to flip and draw us a card, be a nice big beat stick as well, quadruple Bait Hook Angler to be very expendable, sacrificable, or they can trade off, double Siege Zombie to be tapping our creatures and making our opponent lose life during board stalls, quadruple Falcon Abomination as well to get a bunch of flying damage in there while supplying us with those decayed zombies to use with our Siege Zombies, Larder Zombies, Ecstatic Awakeners. Nebelgast Intruder gives us yet another flyer to chip away with. Hobbling Zombie is a very nice defensive card, being a Death Toucher to trade off into their biggest attacker. Morbid Opportunist draws us a card every time one of our decayed zombies sacrifices itself, and then also if we get to trade into one of their creatures on blocks during their turn. And the top end is a Diregraph Horde to make a very wide board state, and a Morcrypt Behemoth as one very big menace threat. So really, really excellent creature curve in this deck. I think that is the best thing it has going for it by far. The spells are a little more lackluster. We have not the greatest interaction ever. We have a Silverbolt to kill small creatures, a Revenge of the Drowned to temporarily bounce something, and the Meat Hook Massacre is pulling a lot of weight in the non-creature slot as an entire board wipe that also drains our opponent for a bunch of life. But outside of those pieces of interaction, we just have Crawl from the Cellar for Graveyard Recursion, No Way Out to make our opponent discard some cards, and Rotten Reunion to exile some stuff from their graves. So not the greatest non-creature spells in this deck. That is where we are a bit lacking, where the deck does become a little closer to average instead of incredible, but I think the creature curve can make up for it, and we could have some very, very good turns. We'll see how it plays out for us as we head into the gameplay. Alright, here we are for game 1 on the play. We got a couple turn 2 bait hook anglers. Well, I can only play one of them on turn 2, but we can pick whichever one we want. Left Twix or right Twix. There's also No Way Out on turn 3. I'd rather just wait on that a little bit, though, and keep expanding my board state. But the big thing making me keep the hand is the Meat Hook Massacre for later on. To try to flip things around could be pretty good. We about to trade bait hook anglers? Yeah, let's go. The most even trades of all trades. Our opponent is mono blue so far. I don't know how long that's going to stay, but probably not forever. Hobbling Zombie can actually attack into Component Collector, so I'll get that down. Our Hook Haunt Drifter can also attack into the Collector since it's flying. Can't attack into a Gale Drifter, though. Well, Rotten Reunion's a good draw. I can go ahead and No Way Out now. Reunion one time. Ooh, got them to discard an Olivia's Midnight Ambush. So, decent value from No Way Out there. Trade No Way Out for Midnight Ambush. A fair trade. Send in the Hobbling Zombie, see if they want to trade it for Gale Drifter. They do not. It's going to look suspicious that I didn't cast my Hook Haunt Drifter, but hopefully it'll be okay. Would prefer if they try to reanimate something from their grave. And I can respond with Rotten Reunion. That would be very good value. They chose to discard a land to the Archivist, so they do not want to just play a 5th land and try to reanimate the Angler. Alright, well, I think I'm still going to hold on to Rotten Reunion and try to do it at instant speed. We're trying to get somewhere with the Meathook Massacre. I want another black source so that I can Meathook Massacre and Rotten Reunion afterwards, because if I Meathook Massacre and then they just recast an Archive Haunt or something, I'm still going to be in a pretty bad position, so... Yeah, Sport State's not working out super hot for us. I think it's more the matchup than the board state. It's the fact that like all their creatures have Disturb. They've played one non-Disturb creature. Well, Diagraph Horde's pretty good. They probably have a counterspell up now, though. And I still have no way to get rid of the Gale Drifter. I guess it's better if they counter my Diagraph Horde than if they counter my Meathook Massacre. Well, that's pretty annoying. Shuffling the Olivia's Midnight Ambush. Pass the turn. I guess they are blue-black, they just don't have a swamp anywhere, because that was their Olivia's Midnight Ambush they discarded. Play the Hook Haunt Drifter and a Baithook Angler. Swamp, 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 swamp. Big swamp energy. Let's go. Okay. Meathook Massacre for 2. And then Rotten Reunion, whatever they try to reanimate. Could do it for 3, but I don't think there's any reason to do that. Maybe send in the Decayed Zombie and they might have blocked with Component Collector. Yeah, I was thinking about the Death Touch attack. I was like, that doesn't really do anything because they're not going to block with Collector there. Wait, how does this work? You can't respond to them going for the reanimate? Well, shoot. It's been too long since I played this format. Alright, I guess we just get Gale Drifter then. We get whatever 2 they don't immediately reanimate. Alright, I guess I needed to Reunion main phase. Why is this even an instant then? I guess so you can do it in their end step and have the expendable creatures left over. Alright, well that's a bummer. At least I have double Angler that can trade into the Archive Haunt, so let's drop the Hook Haunt Drifter. I guess I have to Sorcery Speed Rotten Reunion for it to actually work, so we'll get rid of Baithook Angler. Then... probably do just play another Hook Haunt Drifter so they can't just kill the first one. And send in with the Archive Haunt for draw and discard value. Play around a bounce spell here and go for the double block. They're on mono blue right now. They're not going to have a combat trick, but they could have a bounce spell. They found their swamp. Morbid Opportunist has hit the board. That is a very big issue. Very, very big issue. Crawl from the cellar can only get a hobbling zombie, which doesn't really do anything for me, so let's just drop larder zombie and siege zombie. 6 creatures means I can double tap if I don't attack, so sure, we'll do that. Defenestrate to kill siege zombie and draw a card off Morbid Opportunist. Let's get a surveil here. Falcon Abomination. I mean, more power in the sky is good. I'm gonna pass turn. Oh, I should have also siege zombied in response because I knew that I was keeping that card. Missed a point of damage there. Because if I ended up keeping the card, then there was no reason to keep the other 3 untapped. I guess I stopped them from poking me for like 2 damage. But that's whatever. Alright, Falcon Abomination. We don't have a siege zombie anymore, but I can get one with this crawl from the cellar. So let's get one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Means I attack with Hook, Haunt, Drifter and still have the double tap. There's a Falcon Abomination of their own, but ours is a 3/3. Locked in the Cemetery to tap it down. Sure, let's surveil first then. Well, how many cards in their grave? They have 5? How does this work? If there are 5 or more cards in your graveyard, tap it. Yeah, they have 5. So yes, respond with Larder Zombie. Draw an Ecstatic Awakener? Yeah, let's keep that. I guess our opponent gets to draw a card when we flip that though, because another creature dies. Which is not incredible. Meat Hook Massacre is kind of getting close to killing them, isn't it? They're at 12 life. We have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 creatures. I guess I don't have a sacrifice outlet to just sack the whole board, but all the Decayed Zombies I can sack. Let's drop Ecstatic Awakener. I think I want to try to flip that on a turn when something dies anyway. Like when they're going to draw a card anyway. Because they can't get 2 triggers off Opportunist in 1 turn. Yeah, if we just sit here endlessly, Siege Zombie is going to win us the game. Okay. So they sack their thing to draw a card off Opportunist. Resolve that. And that's going to exile the Siege Zombie, so I can't crawl from the cellar it back. Which means at that point, this is when I sack the Siege Zombie. So that it doesn't get exiled, and they already drew their card. So let's set up our draw first. Okay. I don't think I'm setting up the draw again. I'll hold blockers up, and now we sack the zombie. So Siege Zombie's in our graveyard instead of exiled, and we draw a card. Find a swamp, unfortunately. Now we have an Awoken Demon. 4/4 creature demon. Bones cracked, flesh split apart, and the screams of euphoric agony gave way to unholy laughter. That's kind of terrifying. Thank you, Innistrad. I shit myself. Alright, let's mill another land. Drawn to another Siege Zombie? I guess I don't need the first one. I guess I don't need to crawl from the cellar then, because there's nothing to put the +1/+1 counter onto anyway. Keep doing our Siege Zombie thing. Pass turn. Fading Hope, the Siege Zombie. Well, let me poke you with it. Boop. They get to scry 1 as well. More Krut Behemoth. They get to draw a card from sacrificing something. They get a 7/6. We might be lethal now. They block 3 creatures, so they block a 4/4 and 2 2/2s, but they take 1, 2, 3, 4. Plus 4 is 8. Not quite. Wait, yeah, block, take 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait, no. I'm crazy. 3 blockers. 1, 2, 3. Take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Puts them at 5 life. 4 creatures die no matter what. If they kill one of our creatures on blocks, they're dead, and then I can siege zombie for lethal, probably. Kind of like risky lethal, scuffed lethal, but lethal nonetheless, I believe. Yeah, with Bait Hook Angler. Larger zombie, siege zombie, Bait Hook Angler. Tap these 3. And that's 1 more damage. Let's just do it. Scuffed lethal, let's go. Oh yeah, if they kill creatures on blocks, they're super dead. Which I think they have to, so boom. That's going to be a million Meat Hook Massacre triggers now. Alright. Well, that kind of played out exactly how we imagined in the deck building, of our biggest flaw being the lack of removal. We couldn't deal with that Morbid Opportunist at all. But I also said in the deck building, Meat Hook Massacre could help make up for that a lot, and it certainly did that game. Without the Meat Hook Massacre there, we were pretty toast. But find a victory, grinding it out through a long game of Magic there, thanks to all of those life loss triggers from the Meat Hook Massacre really adding up. So, very long, hard-fought victory for Game 1. We'll start off 1-0 heading into Game 2. Another game, another Meat Hook Massacre, another keep. Let's go. Our opponent starts off with a Swamp into Ecstatic Awakener. Absolute classic. Innistrad Midnight Hunt strikes again. Novice Occultist turn 2. They're going to go for the 1-2 punch Awakener Occultist together. Hit us for 2. Play an Evolving Wilds. And another Ecstatic Awakener? I am so tempted to Meat Hook Massacre for 1. Shut off the Occultist's plan. Stop these before they flip. I mean, it's still a 2 for 1. That feels fine. I feel like that's going to go better for me than if I just play a Falcon Abomination and they flip sacking the Occultist. Hit me for 5 and draw 2 cards there. Alright, Falcon Abomination of their own. It's time for the Falcon Abomination War. Each player dropping an endless supply of decayed zombies. Show me your combat trick. Oh, it's Startle. Don't show me your combat trick. Startle is in this format, and that card is devastatingly good if I try to block. Ooh, Morbid Opportunist. Speaking of cards that are devastatingly good, I don't know if I can afford that right now. With 5 mana up, I can't play that and a Falcon Abomination. Or I can't play that and hold up Revenge of the Drowned. I really want to hold up a Revenge of the Drowned for if they have the Startle. This is a sketchy game plan, but I'm just gonna pass turn holding up a Revenge of the Drowned. And then I have 6 mana up next turn to go Falcon Abomination, Morbid Opportunist. Who would have guessed? Who would have known? There was a Startle. So take 3 from the Arrogant Outlaw, but I keep the Falcon Abomination, which is pretty important. They're going to crawl from the cellar, put a counter on their Decayed Zombie to pick up an Ecstatic Awakener. Fair enough. Okay, let's drop Opportunist, attack with 1 Decayed Zombie and the Falcon Abomination, because I don't need a flyer on blocks. And I do want to draw a card. Opportunist will draw me a card. Meathook Massacre will make them lose a life. We draw another land, which means we just play another Falcon Abomination. Alright. They're going to replay their Falcon Abomination. They're stuck on 3 mana still. Draw a Siege Zombie. It's a pretty sweet one. Don't have anything in my graveyard for this crawl from the cellar, which is such a bummer. Because if I did, I could make one of these Falcon Abominations a 3/3 flyer, which would be a really big deal. I'm going to take a lot of damage. If they don't block at all here. I guess I have Siege Zombie to block Outlaw. But then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's not going to be lethal, and then I'm going to gain a bunch from Meathook. So I probably do send both in here. Really hoping to draw another creature, though, or another piece of interaction or something to really make this safe. Diagraph Ward. That is actually pretty good. That's perfect mana-wise. Oh, they're over it. Drop a Diagraph Horde and they're just done with my shenanigans. They're like, yeah, that's like 50 Decayed Zombies with a Meathook Massacre out, and also you're playing slow because you're a big doofus. Scoop them up. They don't want to deal with my antics. We are going to be 2-0, winning the mirror match each time as we head into Game 3. Here we are on the play for Game 3. We do not have a blue source in this hand, which makes it questionable on if I should keep it. If I hit an island, it's going to be beautiful, but it really needs to hit an island. I guess if I hit any third land, I get to play a Hobbling Zombie, then flip an Awakener to dig. I'm going to be greedy. I'm going to believe in the heart of the cards. We're doing it Yu-Gi-Oh! Style. Wake up, everybody. The Ecstatic Awakener is here. Pinging our opponent for 1, they're down to 19. Look at Fibble cheering us on. Let's go. Opponent's on green-white with a Harvest-Tide Sentry turn 2, and we have missed. We did not draw land in the first 3 draws. First 2 draws, sorry. First 3 turns, but only 2 draws since we're on the play. I come on any land, any land, any land. Island, beautiful. Absolute perfection. Unstoppable. I suppose a Death Touch would be nice to block this Hound Tamer, but a flyer lets me keep attacking in. We've got a 3/1 and a 3/3. I kind of want to set up blocks here. It feels like a spooky board. Dual Craft Trainer. It's a good thing all of their creatures have the same power, because if they ever get Coven, that's going to give something double strike each turn. The really nasty trick they've got is that the Hound Tamer can start putting a +1/+1 counter on one of their creatures each turn to kind of mess with their powers and toughnesses on board, start flopping that all around. Let's start dropping our Falcon Abominations now. We are going to be in a bad position if they hit Coven soon. I think the Sentry will be unblockable as well. Yeah, if they hit Coven, 3 different powers, we will not be able to block that thing whatsoever. Well, Dual Craft Trainer is already a first striker, even without Coven, so it does get in some damage here. I hold up a Nebelgast Intruder. I could potentially block it with the Death Toucher and ruin our opponent's day. Yeah, the flying plan's not going to work, so I guess that might be where we're at. The problem with that is that if I pass the turn, this flips to nighttime, and then They've got Trample. Yeah, this Brood Weaver was not what we wanted to see here with 4 2-power flyers in our hand that are just all blocked off by this one spider. Alright. This is going to be bad. We're going to have to flip tonight here. Let them have the 4/4 trampling Untamed Pup. Oh, that means they have Coven, though? Well, they would have had it anyway, because they were going to play a 1/1. They're going to have 3, 2, and 1 on board. Okay. This was the nightmare turn, whether or not I played something main phase. Maybe they'll give the pup double strike and also attack with dual craft trainer, in which case I could kill the trainer. Oh, they're going to give the unblockable creature double strike. Depending on how they attack here, this might go poorly for them. No, it's not, because they're holding up the 4 mana for Untamed Pup, so I can't do anything about this. I can flip the Awakener and have a 4/4 to block Harvesttide Sentry, but then they just use Untamed Pup to put a +1/+1 counter on Harvesttide Sentry. I can play a Nebelgast Intruder and give Dual Craft Trainer -2/-0 and then block with the 2/2 Death Toucher, but then they just put a counter on it. And it first strikes away the Death Toucher still. I guess I could Nebelgast Intruder triple block the trainer. They can make it a 2/4 and first strike away one of these, but the other 2 will deal 4 damage to it. Now they don't have to put a counter on it though, because I don't have 3 2 toughness creatures. One of them is 1 toughness, which means they can just first strike away a 1 toughness. If they have any tricks, we're dead no matter what. I don't have better options than that. And they do have a trick, so we super lose. Yeah. I mean, that was still, I think, the best line I could do there. I can't just not block all of that. Try to kill the trainer while we still maybe can. Can't get through the Brood Weaver, and they're just going to keep getting gigantic double strike attacks in. I can flip the Awakener, but then they use Hound Tamer on the Sentry. And it doesn't matter. So I guess I play another Falcon Abomination since flipping the Awakener doesn't really matter. I guess flipping the Awakener draws us another card, and just about our only out now is to just draw the Meathook Massacre. Try to bomb rare them out of it. But we need to have 3 mana up afterwards. We need 5 mana total, not 4. Because most of their creatures are 3 toughness or less. Meathook Massacre where X equals 2 is not going to do it. It'll still make our opponent lose a bunch of life, but it won't kill them. It won't wipe their board, most importantly. Whoa. Combat tricks galore is the plan? Just combat trick us into lethal? I mean, I'm taking 8 unblockable from Harvesttide Sentry. So I am pretty dang dead to any combat trick. Aren't I? And I have to triple chump. Did I go to 1 from that? Good grief. Alright, I guess I needed to flip Awakener this turn. Oh, Trample. Oh, right, there's Trample. Alright, well. Yeah, definitely lost to a lack of interaction that game. We needed to be able to kill the Dual Craft Trainer or the Hound Tamer early. Just don't have removal spells. I mean, I do have a couple, but I just haven't drawn them in any of our games. They're not good removal, but the bounce spell would have been pretty good there. I guess I did draw the bounce spell in game 2. I haven't drawn my Silverbolt. That would have also been great that game. Silverbolt, the dual craft trainer. If we had that like the turn they played the dual craft trainer, that could have significantly affected the outcome there, so. Had a couple removal spells, but I don't think we have enough removal. We don't have great removal, and we just didn't even draw the removal that we do have, so. 2-1 heading into game 4. Here we are for game 4 on the play. Turn 2 Siege Zombie, turn 3 Falcon Abomination is a beautiful way to start a game. Have 3 zombies on the board on turn 3 with our Siege Zombie. So even if they have a blocker, we get to chip in for 1 damage on turn 3. Got a no way out for later. Oh, this hand would have been so good if Awakener was in the opener instead of top decking it that turn. That makes the curve a bit more awkward. I guess if I hit another land turn 4, I can just play and flip the Awakener immediately, which would be pretty sweet. And I already have 2 swamps, so it could be any land to play on turn 4. We are in a blue-black mirror match again, the bread and butter of Innistrad Midnight Hunt as a format. There's an Ominous Roost. They get a 1/1 flyer that can't block, and every time they play something from the grave, they get another 1/1 flyer that can't block. Alright, I think I can outrace an Ominous Roost pretty well with so many Falcon Abominations in this deck. Yeah, let's be mana efficient. I'm going to play an Awakener and flip it. Try to get 2 damage out of this zombie, though, before I flip. So if you go full control mode, you can respond to the Decayed trigger on the stack. Or before the thing sacks itself. So it's dealt combat damage now, and then now I can sack it now that it's dealt the combat damage. So that is how you max value your Decayed stuff. You might not even need to full control mode it. It might give you a response when that trigger comes up on the stack. But did it there just to be safe. Hit for an extra 2 damage there instead of an extra 1 by tapping Siege Zombie post-combat. During their turn, we could have tapped like the Decayed Zombie, the Demon, and the Siege Zombie, and then sacked the Decayed Zombie during their end step. But I'm cool with the Sorcery Speed Awoken Demon there. Well, not Sorcery Speed, but the during our turn Awoken Demon. Alright, I've got the mana to play another Falcon Abomination and a Siege Zombie, which is pretty great. If this Siege Zombie trades off, that's not that big of a deal. If they have a Startle, though, that'd be pretty bad. Yeah, I'll play around a Startle, that's fine. Olivia's Midnight Ambush is the play. Just kill the Falcon Abomination, take 4, they're down to 11. Here's another Falcon Abomination. And another Siege Zombie. Five mana up. Pass the turn. Let's poke them for 1. They're down to 10. There's a no way out. Give them less options during combat. Devious Cover Up to counter that, sure. Okay. Should attack with everybody. They can only trade into one of these things. They're tapped out now. Probably even supposed to cash in the Decayed Zombie now, because they block a 4/4 and a 2/2, take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, go to like 4 life. I guess they have 2 mana up with the Observer. Oh, 1 block and die. Alright. Our opponent has chosen death. We are now 3-1. Heading into game number 5. Here we are on the play for game 5. Pretty great curve as well. We go 1 drop, 2 drop, 3 drop. I always love counting by numbers. It's like one of those color by numbers books. We're just connecting the dots here. Let's work our way up the curve. They do blow up our first siege zombie, but at least with Falcon Abomination, with this larger zombie, we can still get a Surveil next turn. We can still get some use from tapping 3 creatures. If they hit us with this Vampire Socialite, and they play any more vampires, they get +1/+1 counters on them, so I'm probably supposed to go for the double block if they attack in here. Hope they don't have any tricks. Might even be better to play Bait Hook Angler, but if I play Abomination now, I get to double up both these next turn, which is good. They're probably just going to have a removal spell pre-combat. Or, I guess it could be a combat trick here. If they just trade into the flyer, that's pretty good for me. Alright, so currently just trading into the flyer. Let's surveil one. Hobbling zombie? Sure. Alright, trade into the flyer, let's go. There's a siege zombie for them. Now we drop the Bait Hook Angler and the siege zombie. Pass the turn. I feel like it'd be a little bit stronger to set up our draw than ping them for 1 damage right now. So let's do that. Use the larder zombie instead of the siege zombie. Bait Hook Angler, keep it. So, got enough blockers they can't attack in, so we're just going to be staring at each other for a while. Except that I get to set up my draw steps. They can keep pinging with their siege zombie, but we can make sure we're always drawing good stuff. And try to win this top deck war that way. They attack with anything. These are snap trades with the disturb cards. It's a Festival Crasher. That can be pretty explosive with any combat tricks they may have. Surveil, find a swamp. Let's get rid of that. Draw for turn, find Revenge of the Drowned. That would give us 6 creatures total. I guess just playing Hobbling Zombie gives us 6 creatures total, and I'm not that worried about their attack next turn. So I'll save Revenge of the Drowned for later. So now we get to start surveilling with Larder Zombie, and then if it's a card we want to keep, then we can use the second tap on Siege Zombie. Okay, even if they Midnight Ambush or Death Toucher, that's fine. I'll still have just as many creatures to tap. I just won't have as good of a blocker for the Festival Crasher. They're going in, they're going for it. Make them spend something if I block. Honestly, I can just get these back as different sized creatures. But then they're not big enough to trade into these siege zombies. Put Larder Zombie there, I force them to cast something, but if I lose Larder Zombie, that's actually kind of a bummer. I want to force them to spend something here, I don't want to just give them free damage. I guess it's not horrible. It doesn't feel great, but I don't think it's horrible to lose anglers here. If they have an instant speed removal spell, though, that plays poorly. I don't know. Plays fine against a combat trick. Neonate's Rush is the spell. Okay. Larder Zombie with these 3. Mill that. Look again. Falcon Abomination, I'll keep that. 2 more creatures means we're back up to 6 by playing Falcon Abomination. I'm actually just going to start pinging with Siege Zombie because I think anything I draw into is good at this point. Because more lands are fine. I've got a 4-drop and 2 2-drops. Hobbling Zombie for them. And they're going to pass the turn. Cool. Get a turn of breathing room here. We do find an island. I do like that. Let's double up bait hook anglers. Oh, I see why it wasn't going. Needed me to click resolve because of Larder Zombie. I was like, why isn't this resolving? Larder Zombie and Siege Zombie, it's all their faults. Alright, well now that I've spent all that, I just have the 1 4-drop in hand again. So I can do Larder Zombie shenanigans. Eaten alive my Siege Zombie. Alright. I'm going to surveil immediately. So I can see if I want that card. Okay, I don't want that card. So then I am going to surveil again, which means I don't need to tap things to Siege Zombie. They kill one of my creatures for me to kill the Festival Crasher. I guess they get to kill the larger zombie, which is not great for me. They could kill both my Hook Haunt Drifters if I double block Hobbling Zombie. Very bad for me. I think this is fine. Surveil one last time, and then just chip away here. Okay, Ecstatic Awakener gives me a 4/4 blocker and draws me a card. And I can hold up Revenge of the Drowned when I play that, so that is a beautiful, beautiful draw. 4/4 to block a 2/2, 1/2 on the 2/1. I don't need 2 2/1s up though. I guess I can get damage out of one of these zombies if I main phase it, but then I'm not holding up Revenge of the Drowned. That's probably worth it though. Drawn to another Bait Hook Angler. And they draw into a land. Thank you for all the work, Larder Zombie. You have done wonders for us this game. I can drop an Angler and have a Revenge of the Drowned up, which means I think we just send in. They should probably be dead in 2 attacks. Okay. Chump Block poke us for 1. They're down to 3. Which means they're very dead in the sky next turn. We just need to make sure they don't have lethal, which we can do with Revenge of the Drowned pretty easily. And they are going to scoop them up. We are 4-1. Pretty much breaking even now. We'll be getting 1,400 gems back. See if we can't take it a little farther here and get Get some straight value today. Get in the money. Here we are for game 6. I'm not mulliganing my Meat Hook Massacre away. My monkeys in a barrel. I will never let them go. Alright, Ecstatic Awakener turn 1. We drew an island, so we are just the Lucksack McGee over here. Kept the mono black 2-lander, immediately hit the 3rd land, and it's a blue source even. Beautiful. Our opponent's on blue-red with turn 2 Festival Crasher, though, which is exactly what that archetype wants. So I am now living in fear. I'm going to play a Bait Hook Angler and go for Ecstatic Awakener flip. Because with a Meat Hook Massacre in hand, I think I actually want to try to have a smaller board state for now and have that be as close to a one-sided wipe as possible. Play around some kind of nonsense from them here. Yeah, I'm going to go for the flip during their end step rather than trying to do it right now and getting Neonates rushed. We're just going to hold up Neonates rush for the rest of time now. Let's just stare at each other then, if that's how it's going to be, Mr. Neonates rush. Okay, they tapped out a Neonates rush, so I'll flip. Cool. We will draw a card. We do not find land number 4. It's a bit of an issue. I'm trying to get to 5 mana for this Meat Hook Massacre to do -3/-3. They're going to Revenge of the Drowned. Let's put that on bottom. I need lands. Take 5. We do find land 4. Now we're just looking for land 5. Are any of these plays particularly good with Meat Hook Massacre? Not really, but I should play something to be a little less suspicious. I guess Hobbling Zombie replaces itself at least with a Decayed Zombie. Holds the Festival Crasher off of us as well if they don't use any interaction, any bounce, or any removal. Alright, sending in the squad, including the Decayed Zombie here. Go for the Festival Crasher trade unless they have a First Strike trick or a Startle, that works too. Startle is an absurd combat trick. Down to 11. Tap out for Bait Hook Angler. Alright. Let's go land. We do hit the land, so I could wipe their whole board, but then they can recast a 1/2 flyer. That's probably fine. It's probably better than wiping everything but Festival Crasher than exiling the flyer. So let's just wipe the whole board. I guess I hit a little harder if I hit them with the zombie than if it dies to the Meat Hook Massacre. Okay, Meat Hook Massacre for 3. Now they just have the 2 cards in hand and a flyer in the grave. We've got a bunch of stuff to play around with. They're going to replay the Hook Haunt Drifter from the graveyard. Play a land. And that's all. Alright, let's go. So, Nebelgast Intruder, they're just going to scoop them up. So their hand must just be a couple lands there. Just got by the board wipe and limited, as tends to happen. I mean, they knew that we were stuck on land, so they know that we have 6 cards versus their 2, and if either of those are lands, they're just having a super bad time. So I was probably going to play like a Siege Zombie or a Bait Hook Angler from Grave, and just hold up the 3 for Intruder to potentially just kill the Drifter on blocks out of nowhere. And then if they don't attack, I'll still just play it in the end step and go from there, but yeah, really overwhelmingly good position in terms of card advantage for us there. And we're still at 15 thanks to the Meat Hook Massacre life gain, so yeah, that was pretty absurd. Meat Hook Massacre is just a very busted card. There's a good reason it is banned in Standard. But you can't ban things in Draft. This isn't an Alchemy draft. I'm going to take my band's cards and I'm going to run with them all the way to victory. We're now 5-1. We are in the money, getting more gems than we paid to play in this event. And any wins from this point on are just gravy. Just keep getting more and more gems. 5-1, heading into game number 7. All right, here we are for game 7. Our opponent's on the play. Whoa! Their book just flew onto the screen. That was wild. I think I'm going to Rotten Reunion just to get a Decayed Zombie, just so that when I play Morbid Opportunist, I draw a card from it. Guaranteed turn 3. And this is the only time I'm going to have the extra 1 mana, because I'm going to play Bait Hook Angler turn 2. So this way we curve out 1 drop, 2 drop, 3 drop. And we draw a card the turn I play the Morbid Opportunist, which is beautiful. Our opponent is starting with a pretty early Heirloom Mirror. Our Revenge of the Drowned is going to be tremendously good against that. Very happy to have one of my few pieces of interaction. The time that my opponent is flipping a pretty slow, gigantic creature. So let's drop the Opportunist, cash in the Decayed Zombie to draw a card. We find land number 4, which is beautiful. And they're just going to keep using the mirror. They're discarding lands when they only have 2 on the board? Oh no, they milled both of those. Okay, I see. That is not good for our opponent. Pretty unlucky draws for them. They're discarding non-land cards and digging for lands and not finding them. I was going to say, why did they discard 2 lands? They didn't. They just milled 2 lands. So really bad mills. So they can get a tapped 4/4 here, but then I hit them for 7 and draw a card. And then I can just bounce the 4/4. Okay. Can't hit them for 7 against Timberland Guide, but I could bounce the Timberland Guide instead, let them keep 1 massive creature to put them down to 3 life. Which I feel like is probably worth it. Could also just play a Diagraph Horde and have a massive board state to kill them with next turn. Honestly, the world is my oyster here, and I think anything I do is quite likely to kill them in 2 attacks. Let's go for the wide board. And then keep Revenge of the Drowned so that even if they find a way to not take lethal on board, the Diagraph Horde kind of, or the Revenge of the Drowned kind of assures that it'll still be lethal. Okay, so they're going to take 5. We're going to draw a card. And then we're going to get a super big board with Diagraph Horde. I don't really think it matters what I exile. I'm just going to grab 2 creatures, I guess. Less things for them to exile with the Inherited Fiend. So Rejuvenator gains them a few life, but they only have 2 blockers. Block a 3 power, block a 2 power, take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Still not dead, but Revenge of the Drowned on the Inherited Fiend is very strong, so I'm still going to do it. Okay. Then attack with everybody. They're just going to scoop them up at that point. Lots of options of what to do after that to still have a really wide board. It doesn't matter too much because they go to 1 life this turn. Block there, take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Probably would be Rotten Reunion during their end step and then Siege Zombie during our turn. So we can ping them for 1 even if they had a million blockers. Alright, really rough game for our opponent there. They kept a 2-lander, but they had the card draw engine to dig for the 3rd land, and they just hit it too slowly against our pretty aggressive start, so not great draws for them there. But that is going to find us a 6th victory. We are 6-1 now, getting great value out of the draft, no matter what happens, as we head into the first attempt at the final boss, round number 8. Here we are now for our potential final boss. We've got a turn 1 larder zombie. Nothing on turn 2, but if we hit any land, we have a Nebelgast Intruder or a Morbid Opportunist turn 3. No Decayed Zombies to go with the Opportunist until we have 4 mana for Revenge the Drowned. Not actually super happy with this hand, but I think on the draw I still keep it. I think a 2-lander with both of our colors on the draw is pretty keepable. Drawn to a Silverbolt could be fine. Playing against black-green, we have hit land 3 for our 3 drops. They're gonna Hobbling Zombie, get a 2/2 Death Toucher down. This could blow up in my face, but I think I'll try to Nebelgast Intruder to kill that. See if we get reverse combat tricked. Nope. We get the free kill on Hobbling Zombie, which is really good value off of the Nebelgast Intruder. Gonna make us discard 2 cards. That is not something I'm excited to do. Could drop our flashback card. I think I keep the Opportunist. Even if I sack a creature for Behemoth, we're really far away from that 5 mana. Versus just already having the mana for Opportunist. And yep, don't draw land here. Got multiple Decayed Zombies on board, so I do think I like Opportunist. I guess they don't have any good attacks for those, though. And there's the removal spell for Opportunist. So no card draw for us. Alright, beautiful mana for Siege Zombie plus Ecstatic Awakener here, so happy to have that get drawn. Because double black means I can cast both in 1 turn, so I shall. And I would be happy to draw almost anything in my deck right now, so I'd rather shoot them for 1 damage with Siege Zombie than set up a draw with Larder Zombie. Because of any 4th land I'm happy with for Revenge of the Drowned, and pretty much any non-land, I'm like, okay, another spell to cast. So I don't think I would mill almost anything off the Surveil. And there you go, 4th land for Revenge of the Drowned, we'll set it up. They have no blockers. They're black-greens, they could have like the 3/2 flash at instant speed or something. But we've got the Silverbolts if they do. We're just gonna Rotten Reunion our Rotten Reunion. I mean, don't like losing some value from that, but I think I need to hold the mana up for Silverbolt and Revenge of the Drowned instead. Alright, so double Rotten Reunion. They have a bunch of creatures that can't block. There's a Siege Zombie. Start shooting us with them, but I've got the Silverbolt. So bolt that. They'll shoot me for 1 while they still can, but the Siege Zombie is dead. Hit them for 8 if I sack Larder Zombie, but I think it's fine to hit them for 5 again. Still dead in 2 attacks. Just Revenge of the Drowned, whatever blocker they play. Nothing. Alright, that was a just dirtily start for our opponent. Did not get to see what they were up to there, unfortunately. I don't think I really got to see their deck for the most part. Just the black half of it. Yeah, don't really even know what their deck strat or game plan was. Just had an awkward, kind of dirtily opening hand and we just play a few dorks and all they've got is decayed zombies, so just get in there for lethal. Kind of weird, anticlimactic way to end it, but it is super sweet to get another 7-win run. That just shows you how strong blue-black is in this format, even with like no removal, or with pretty bad removal. These decks can be super explosive. We did get a lot of victories off the Meat Hook Massacre, but we won a few games without them off of just having tons of Falcon Abominations. Morbid Opportunist with all these decayed zombies was phenomenal as well. Really, everything in the deck, actually not everything in the deck today, we never cast more Crypt Behemoth, but everything else in the deck, I would say, worked out pretty incredibly for us. We got to play everything at least once, and they all popped off in their own way. Even the Rotten Reunion did some work for us. So, very sweet stuff from the Blue-Black Zombies deck, but that is going to end today's draft. We're going to take our 2200 gems, our 6 packs, and also that's going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons very much for supporting this channel, as well as you for watching these videos, and if you're interested in seeing more videos like this, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below, and if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. Other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.